let's first start with like my background on this, because like when I first got into like the IT industry, I think most people was like, oh, I don't want to be a manager. Being a manager is like sucks and is terrible. um I think I felt that way because I hadn't really had a great manager to show off what what could be done, like what a team with like a strong leadership could accomplish. And that essentially went like, going through systems administration, becoming a software developer, working, a couple different places. It wasn't until I started working with one of my current mentors, and still friend, one of the few people that I keep in contact with after having left a job with them. He like formed a bubble in the company, in the organization. And I think it might be excellent to create a freehand document for this. So can I create a new one? New freehand. I'm going to name this leadership. Sure, leadership is fine. Leadership, productivity, they all sort of like go hand in hand, are absolutely required. Okay, so can I actually use this? Uh, just pick up this thing only by itself. Don't knock over everything else. Okay, will you work? Oh, yes, you will. Okay, awesome. So I've got an actual like old school Wacom tablet. Okay, so what we had in this team that sort of like made me realize that leadership and management is something that I am passionate about and want to get into, was we were able to create a high performing team. I was just part of it at that point in time. But once you're part of a high performing team, uh, and then you like lose that because like something happens, you end up having to leave that job, go to somewhere else. You want nothing more than to get back into that, like that. Once you've seen the light, everything else looks dark. Um, I don't know. There's a lot of metaphors that could be stated for this, but there's a lot of reasons for why that didn't work out. Because like at one point in time, I was thinking, well, I found my forever job. I'm just gonna be here forever because this is the most amazing thing ever. But it wasn't like it wasn't a lot of work. It was the most work that I had done for a very long time. Um, and jobs after that kind of felt slow, which is really fascinating. But it also wasn't like I was super stressed out while there, too. It was basically it was a very easy to maintain pace, but still felt fast, which I thought was is pretty amazing. But the critical mistake, and the manager at this time, who is still my mentor, and I love working with him if I ever have the chance. He he knows this is a mistake, but it's also not one that he knows how to like rectify. It's something that like is not easy. If you have an entire organization, um, and I'm not talking about the place I'm working at right now. This is like a previous company. So if you have like an entire organization and they're doing something in like, I don't know, they're doing stuff in like these different ways. They've set up that you're doing all there, and then we come in and our team does it a different way. What we learned is that it doesn't matter, that doing it this way is better for the customer, it's better for us as the team members, and it's better for the business overall. In a way, we were one of the few teams that actually provided, made more money for the company. Um, we used less resources, and we attracted, more talent from, just around in the area. But what we learned is, and the reason why I'm using a circle is, this is a bubble. If you form a bubble inside of a company that or organization that they're all doing it differently, and if that bubble doesn't have anything to reach out to, then like try to win the hearts and minds, as it were, to basically convince the rest of the company, no, this is the best way to do it, then what ends up happening is the organization is going to act just like a body acts, with white blood cells and some kind of negative, virus in the system, and it will attack it and try to turn this into that again, which will pop the bubble and cause, and basically, even though it was, a better system, true, it's my opinion, but I'm willing to, go behind that and say, like, we had a better system. It will not last. So my time ended at this organization, and I really wanted to get back to this. So a couple jobs later, and then I got to where I am now with my current company, and I finally am now in like a management position, and I got hired to literally do this: take a company where we have a bunch of diamonds and create a circle. The key difference that I have in my organization, that I think is like one of the most important things, is I have support from upper management. So the CTO of the company is 100% got my back on this. In fact, we have conversations about theory of management, theory of flow. We are able to like discuss where we want to take the teams, and how we should be able to get there. And that, I could not do what I've done without that support. So if you are a team lead, if you're in the same position I'm in, if you're going to become a team lead, so like you're considering whether or not to take a job as a team lead, or even if you just want to be a team lead, or just want to understand how, like, why certain things are working, if this support structure where you need somebody high up in the organization, so that's, traditional org chart, right? So we have like the CEO, and then we have like CTO, we usually have like a CPO, sometimes there's a COO, chief customer success officer. Like there's lots of different little titles that come around. Here's some random ones. My company has a CMO, chief medical officer, which is pretty cool. If you don't have at a minimum one at this level, you need at least one from this level to support you. Nothing will work. And the reason for this is because other teams are gonna see like what's happening. Not even necessarily other teams. Like it might be like other levels of management. And there's gonna be pressure to like revert to the mean, to like go back to what we're comfortable with. And if we do that, everything is lost, right? Like this requires change. Change is hard. Change is really painful. And so just like starting a fire, it's really weak at the beginning. It takes a lot of effort to keep it going healthy. So if you want to make this change that I'm going to be talking about all this morning, if you don't have the support of like one of these, that's the first thing to do. You can't do anything else until you get buy-in from one of these people. So what does that look like? I would start with one-on-ones, bi-weekly or weekly. Bi-weekly means like every 2 weeks or every 1 week. I know bi-weekly is a weird word where it can be many different things. At least once or every other week, at the least, have one-on-ones with this person. Talk about what you're trying to do, why you're trying to do it. And then like just be frank and honest about what support you need. And support will change over time, because like sometimes it'll be like, I need you to block, this other person over here is trying to like interrupt our sprints and trying to like just have us do something else. I need you to tell them not to do that anymore because I don't have that authority. Because that's usually what it comes down to. As team leads, we have authority over our teams and nothing else. And that's why it's a bubble. We have authority in this world we create here. We can't change how everything else here happens. Now that's a slight lie, right? Because we can kind of change it, but not directly. Again, none of this will happen unless you have somebody to help you out. So that's the first, that's my first like sort of talking point here is we need someone to back us up higher or in the organization. And like my suggestion, like should be a C level person, a director can help, but a C level will, I don't know if I can say like ensure success, but like it's a lot higher chance. Okay. Realize that this is all Markdown. I should probably give it the double spaces since that's like the appropriate to Markdown. Okay. So that's like the introduction to this. I guess like the other introduction part to this is like where I came in with the team. When I came in and joined the company, the CTO was acting as team lead. We only had like two software development teams. We had the team that was working on a product that was actually like used. So this is like they're working on the VR stuff and Unity and C#, really cool stuff, fun stuff. I didn't do that. I was on what's called the platform team. In fact, the team was just called the platform. And it was a legacy application that had two backend frameworks, one embedded inside of the other, sort of like an idea of like, okay, one was created a long time ago by contractors from out of country. And while I have nothing against contractors out of country, the problem is that if you just sort of like build that and the people don't have any like long-term buy-in or like care that much about it, they're not going to write it in such a way that it's going to be maintainable. So what ended up happening was most of them were hired to do this and then let go by our CTO all before I started. There was one contractor remaining who was pretty amazing. He was able to keep everything going for a very long time before eventually he quit and went to Facebook. So I came in, I had a contractor who knew the most about the product, or the platform in this case. The CTO also knew the most, but he was a CTO. he was trying to be a programmer, a team lead, and CTO. Not something he could do. And then I had a designer, a developer, recently out of a code school. The designer didn't know too much JavaScript, but was excellent at design, and then a QA person, who I shared with the other engineering team. And because of that, like our most senior developer was a contractor who was 12 hours difference in time or more, which means that we didn't really get a chat with him during the day. We were doing Kanban for the system. So tickets, we would have in our, let's create a little Kanban thing here. We would have tickets remain. Okay, so I can copy these over in our various columns. We also had lots of them that would be on the columns. And very few of them would get to done. I think when I first started, there was a ticket on the board that was there for like 6 months on the board, just like not making any progress whatsoever, which was not ideal. Generally speaking, you want flow, and flow requires like fast moving projects and tickets. So that was like one of the things I was actually tasked with leveling up the team. That was like the big thing that the CEO, or I guess like that there's two co-founders. So we had like the CEO and the president, who were like both essentially at the same level. The president was on charge of like the product side, and the CEO was like more on the sales side. So I didn't really interact with the CEO too much. But the president told me, okay, time to like, level up everybody so we can like do more faster. Yes, but not directly. Like I learned that pretty quickly. So one lesson: if you're brand new to a team and you get promoted into a leadership team, be wary of what you're told you need to do for success in like your position. Because just like development, where if you build something to what the client says they want, it's very rarely what they actually want. It's just what they think that they want. Like it's a solution. They're giving you a solution, but it's important to go in and think, oh, what do they really want? And let me like figure out a way to get there, because it might not be the way that that person thought that we should get there. So it took like me about 1 year to sort of like understand the product, and then another year to have us become like we changed things around. I sort of like fully took control of the team, and then we started making drastic changes over time. And then about 6 months in, we started getting like the benefits of high performance. And then about a year in is when the company came in, because I'm kind of being told you're high performance. Like I don't say that lightly. The leadership, so like the high level leadership of the company, gave me that label for the team. So they said, okay, the team is high performing now. We agree that you're high performing. So I did not label that myself, and I am super proud that we can get there. And I'm still looking forward to like how we can continue to improve that, because I'm very well aware of how easy it is for everything to just go down and like revert backwards. And so keeping a tight hand on culture and keeping a tight grip on, well, making sure that things work out is what we want. Oh, my music's not playing. I forgot to turn desktop audio off while we were playing Mario Golf. Luckily, you could hear me still, so that's good. So that's I guess like my introduction and like where I was at the start of this journey, and then what I'm going to be talking about in like these sections that are coming up is what I learned and what I observed that we were doing as a team that led us to this so-called high-performing state. And mileage obviously always varies, but I think that with sound is good, awesome. Thank you, Chantilly. I think that there is, I'm hoping that that like whatever tidbits of knowledge that I can show off here can help if you're in the same position that I was, with you giving yourself a high performance team. So let's come back to here. The goal. We want to be able to estimate projects accurately.